I will shortly introduce myself. My name is Vojta Tuma. My role is Field CTO at Keboola, which means I understand technical things, but I can also discuss the business side of all stuff. I have been developer in Keboola for many years. Now I choose the side of the business. So I'm more customer facing and I know a lot of things under the hood. And today I will try to explain you how CDC works. All recordings on all the materials which we will show you today will be also shared with you after this webinar. And if you have any question, please use Q&A inside Google Meets. You can find it in the right bottom side where there is a triangle, square, and circle. If you will click on it, you will have Q&A, and if I may ask you, put your questions here, and I will try to answer them at the end, or if we will have some time during the webinar, I will answer them directly. So, what is CDC? Let's start with fundamental basics. The definition says it's a process of recognizing that something changed in source systems and downstream systems can take an action based on what happened in the source system. If I will have to translate this into database word, it means that in the source system, which can be a transactional database under your eShop or under your warehouse or under your whatever, this change, for example, insert or update in your database, do something, and you need to notify that there is a new order. So you can notify the warehouse that there is a new order to dispatch. In our data analytics world, it mostly, in most cases, is used to replicate databases. And based on events you have in your source database, you can do multiple things. Why we even consider to have the CDC in Keboola? I will start from the left corner. So there's already existing CDC replication tools or CDC tools itself, but we found out that they are quite hard to set up. Most of them, if you will go to the big ones, they're quite expensive, like multiple times more expensive than Keboola will be. They require some maintenance. And if you already know what is our mindset in Keboola is that we want to provide you with the managed services where you have almost zero maintenance and everything is easy to set up. If you ever encounter with CDC or you work with the CDC, you might find that it's hard to restore your database when replication fails. This is a big pain point, to be honest. So we are prepared for this as well. Also, when we were using our database extractors, it was hard to capture updates and deletes. Not a lot of people want to capture updates, but a lot of people want to capture deletes. And if you know how it works when you have just data source, for example, for MySQL, you are able to capture only the current state of the database. So this was another missing piece in the puzzle. And if you have some legacy system and you are simply just not able to create some column like updated at or timestamp or whatever, you don't have an option how to create an incremental fetching, meaning you have to download all the time, you have to download everything, because we as a or you was not able to have some point in the time like I want to download all the records which are newer than XYZ. This is being solved by the CDC. Anyway, it has been often asked by the customers, hey, do you have the CDC solution? We would love to use it because of XYZ, because of the reasons I mentioned on the left side. So it's not something we would love to just launch, but yes, this feature has been requested by the customer a lot. Last thing is ability to handle schema shift. What is schema shift? It's when you want to add column, rename the column, or delete the column. With typical database extractor, this was pain. With CDC solution, we are handling all the schema shifts for you, and nothing will break. Before we will dive in how CDC works, let's start with how database extractors work, like the old world without the CDC. Let's imagine that we have database and we want to extract orders from this database. How it works? You simply execute, or we execute, query select star from orders where updated at is where the updated at column is bigger than 1st April 2025, which is in the future, to be honest. And this executes query against database, which means you are getting the current state of orders table only. You don't know anything from the past. You also don't know anything about the deletes. You don't know anything about the updates, which has been executed on particular table. This select query also consumes resources on your database because it's just another query which needs to be executed on your database engine. So it consumes CPU. If your database is already in lack of resources, this can be a problem. And as you see at the last part of the query, there is updated at. If you don't have a luxury that you can have this updated at columns, you simply need to download everything all the time. Now let's jump how it works with the CDC. With CDC, it's kind of different way how the whole system works. All modern databases, I would say most of them, are producing transactional logs. They are called different ways, like MySQL has the bin logs, Postgre has the write ahead logs, and there are multiple other namings. But they are exposing logs. Those logs have been used if you want to replicate your master database or main database to slave databases or mirrors or read replicas. CDC approach is utilizing exactly this log to replicate all things from your source database to Keboola. This log contains basically all the queries which has been executed on your database. Inserts, updates, deletes, altering the schema, like basically everything what has been executed on the database. So if you are able to read that log, you are able to replicate the whole logic or the whole queries, how they've been executed in the main database. This has a few advantages. First one, you are not utilizing the CPU on the database because you are not running any query. You are just downloading the log file, which is basically the file. As far as this log contains all the deletes and updates, you are also reading all that information. So now you are aware that someone deleted a row or updated a row or changed the schema. So no load on your database, and also you are having all the things without necessity of having any updated column, because you are just simply downloading everything what happens since you executed the CDC last time. So if you are executing CDC every 5 minutes, you will get all the changes in your databases for the last 5 minutes. What is being captured? This is just another brief overview what I already explained. As you can see on the left side, there's a transaction log consisting of delete, update, and insert. We are collecting all those three things. So we know that the order ID 1 has been deleted, order number 2 has updated amount, and there's a new order with ID 4. This is how it works. All those events can be captured. So some conclusion and path forward. If I will have to make one sentence what Keboola CDC solution is, I would say it's a managed near real-time replication solution, which is capable of mirroring 1 million rows per minute, and this can happen every 5 minutes. If you already used our old CDC version, I would say it was not the best one on the market. So what we did, we created a brand new version. It has nothing in common with the previous version. This one is based on Debezium and DuckDB. And our added value exactly on the Debezium is that we connected with DuckDB, incorporated in Keboola, and we are providing you with many solutions so you don't have to take care about anything. What are the capabilities? As I said, near real-time data replication, which means our SLA is 5 minutes. So if you have 1 million changes in your database, we are capable of mirroring this amount of data every 5 minutes. And throughput, like the limitation, that's the second number, is 1 million rows per minute. I will show you soon the benchmark, what we did, and we were not aiming very low. We were aiming quite high. It supports incremental and full loads. You can also have the duplication. I will describe you exactly what it means later on, because I think with example, it will be much easier. Support of schema shift. So in your source database, you can create tables, rename columns, whatever. We will handle it, and your connector will not fail. You don't have to replicate the whole database. You can select certain tables or columns. We will provide you with the include and exclude filters. If you have some sensitive data and you don't want to have this sensitive data inside Keboola, you can hash them. So for example, if you have the salary column or you have some PII data and you don't want to move them to Keboola, no problem. CDC component is capable of hashing all the things or skipping the column fully. Which databases are supported currently? Currently, we are supporting MySQL, MariaDB, and PostgreSQL. If you want to have, or you are currently having Oracle, MongoDB, SQL Server, or Cassandra, please let us know. Those integrations are almost ready, thanks to DBZoom. And we are just waiting for first customers. So let us know if you are interested, not just only in MySQL, MariaDB, and Postgre. We can have them in production very, very quickly. As I said, we did a benchmark. We created a database consisting of 225 million records. It also includes 20 million changes, and this all has been synchronized under 22 minutes. To be honest, this is a really good result if we compare it to other CDC tools on the market. I would say we are not in top 10, we are more than in top 5. We are also in top 3 at the moment. And if we will compare the price, we are a pretty good one. So if you are worried that you have millions of rows, don't worry, CDC can handle it. So what does it take to set up CDC inside your project or inside your database? So if you want to connect Keboola to your database, or you don't even have Keboola yet, you need to have some kind of special privileges on top of your database, or at least you need to know the guy who has the privileges. What needs to be set up is enabling of transaction log generation. So for MySQL, it's called bin log. So you need to create, so you need to just enable creation of this bin log. For Postgre, you need to create, you need to allow creation of write ahead log. Don't worry, everything is pretty well documented on our help.keboola.com, where you can find step-by-step manual how to set up everything inside your database. If you have some restriction regarding the networking, you need to also allow Keboola to be able to connect to your database. But this is the same for Extractors as we know them. If you don't know Keboola yet and you want to become a Keboola customer, we will help you with everything. Don't worry. As you can see, we have the help.keboola.com, where you can find all the steps which are necessary to set up, how to set up your database to allow CDC to connect directly to your database. Stop talking, Wojta. We want to see the results. Okay, I have it. So now it's demo time, because what can go wrong? So what I have created, if you haven't been in Keboola, this is how it looks like. If you are already aware of Keboola, you can find everything inside the component. If you will go to component, let's search for CDC. In CDC, we have two components, Postgre and MySQL. For this example, I will use the MySQL. So simply click at component, connect to my data. I will call it as webinar example. Always provide your configurations with descriptions, so afterwards you will know what it is. So I will write it as live demo example of CDC. Now, first thing what we need to provide is credentials. At the moment, I'm not going to show you how to set up the whole MySQL or Postgre or Maria, because this is heavily depending on what kind of database you have. If you have it in Google Cloud, for example, as I do, it's pretty simple. You just enable point-in-time recovery. But if you have your database in AWS, the approach is different. So sorry, but I will skip this step and I will pretend that we have everything set up correctly also on the database side. So what do we need to provide? We need to choose whatever we have, MySQL or MariaDB. There are some minor changes in JDBC or driver implementation. So choose what one do you have. I have MySQL. Now I will provide with hostname, username, and the last one, a password. If you will encounter some problems with the time zones, please fill this as well. 99% you should not hit error here, but if you do so, there is the place where you can want to write Europe/Prague or Vancouver/Canada, whatever is this place. We also allow you to use the SSH tunnel. In this case, my database is accessible via internet, so it's no problem. Now we will click on validate connection. Okay, so I set up everything correctly, which means Keboola is capable of connecting to database, user has the right permissions, and the database is set up in a correct way. So we can read the transaction log, which is like the most important thing here. Now we can save it. And let's go. Let's go to the next box, which is data sources. You can replicate a lot of databases inside your MySQL instance. It's not just about one. So I will create reload schemas. It is schemas/databases, depending on the database you are using. And we can see that I have like multiple databases, but the one I'm curious about is called e-commerce CDC. It's a fake database with fake data, which I created beforehand. This database contains typical tables which you will have for your e-commerce project. By clicking on reload tables, Keboola will scan the whole database and get all the tables. You can choose select all. If you want to exclude any table, just simply click the cross next to table name. Moving forward, you can also exclude columns. So if you know that you don't want to mirror or extract everything from database. So for example, you want to avoid downloading phone numbers, you can use the exclude filter. And in here, I can write ecommerce_cdc_customers.phone. And all phone numbers will be skipped during database synchronization. Another one is column masking. Debezium itself has a lot of capabilities, and we are trying to give you as much of them as possible, and one of them is masking. First one is length mask. This can be useful if you have some columns where the data are quite big and you simply don't want to synchronize them. In my case, I will say that I don't want to synchronize CDC, sorry, e-commerce underscore CDC underscore product dot description. Yeah, because I simply don't want to have all the description of all the products. It's just data I don't want to synchronize because it will make the whole thing slow, big, whatever. And I said, if its length is longer than 10 characters, please replace it with a star. This is how you can avoid just mirroring everything. Next mask is called hash mask. And this is a really good feature if you have some PIA data which you don't want to have in your analytical database. You can choose from multiple algorithms. In my case, I will use SHA-256, which is pretty solid algorithm. And I have to provide a salt. In this case, it's a read-only field. So I would say Keboola CDC rocks. Salt is just some, I would say, better way how to protect or hash your data. So for me, e-commerce CDC customer.email should be hashed because I don't want to share all the emails to my analytical database. Does it make sense? I don't know. For example, it's good. You can have multiple hashes here, so no problem. You can have how many you want. And moving forward, there are synchronization options. At the moment, we are supporting just standard synchronization, which means that we will synchronize everything. Like we will make an initial load, which is typical query, like select star from orders, and we will save the results in Keboola. And since that point, we are reading the binary logs, because the problem with binary logs is that they last for 5 days, 6 days. Like nobody, I never saw it, but maybe somewhere they have it. But most of the time, the bin logs are stored just for last 7 days or 5 days. So for this purpose, you can use CDC to read data for last 5 days, 7 days, to read data from those logs. But if you want to access all the data, we need to execute basic queries like select star from orders. So at the beginning, initial load, and then we are downloading just the changes. So we are not executing everything like select star from, but just reading the binary logs since we have the initial load done. Soon, we will be able to download only the changes. So we will be skipping all the initial loads of your tables. If you have any question about this, let me explain it at the beginning of at the end of the call. If you also want to change how initial load will be executed, so for example, you want to have only e-commerce cdc.orders. If you want to have only orders which are newer than, I don't know, last year, you can create a query like this. Select star from orders where order ID is bigger than 1000. So you can also redefine initial queries, like how initial data will be loaded into Keboola. Last part before we will execute everything is destination. We have 4 options how you can load data into Keboola: incremental load and full load. Those options are quite different to what you know from Keboola, because the duplication is something what we are doing in during the incremental load. I will let it for now as an incremental load the duplication. And I will explain you later on what are the other options. I have slides for it. For output bucket, we can say CDC dash ecom dash demo. This is it. Now let's execute it and see if it fails or not. We don't have any questions yet. I will just repeat myself. If you have any questions in the Google Meet, use the Q&A. You can find it on the right bottom corner when there are three icons, triangle, square, and a circle. If you will click on it, there's a Q&A, and you can put your questions there. This will take around 2.5 minutes before it will be processed, because now we also getting the initial loads, because this is the first run. And if we will go to the detail of the job, everything has been executed. As you can see, component is already fetching some data. It finds out there is nothing in Keboola, so we need to synchronize everything. And since that point, it will be synchronizing only changes. As far as it will be replicated, we will then execute two queries inside source database. One will change the schema, and the second one will change data. Okay, we have one question. This looks awesome. Any plans for similar functionalities for non-SQL sources? If like the answer is here pretty clear, because what is supported by Debezium, it can be supported by Keboola CDC. So if I'm aware that there are some databases, I will now have to go to check the documentation. But I think there are some also, I think MongoDB is supported. So yes, if you want any database to be supported, please let us know which one exactly it is, and we will do our best to find the compatibility and if we do it. And we are approaching to the end of this job, not this webinar, don't worry. So it's being done. The Debezium engine is stopped. Now we are uploading everything to Keboola, and as you will see, we will have everything in the storage. What about non-database components? Another question. The thing is that this one is based on binary logs. So if you, Jim, if you can be a little bit more exact, if you want to pick up just some component you are curious about, I will try to find more how I can help you. Before doing so, this took a little bit longer than it used to, but we already have some data, hopefully. This is the problem of the live demos. It's always go wrong, at least something. Yeah, but it is here. So as you can see, we have the CDC e-commerce CDC customer table already replicated inside Keboola. Starting from the left, this is something you already saw, or this is just the replication of the table, and you are probably familiar with it in different systems. But what is new in this table is that we provide you with all those KBC __ columns. And I will describe you what I mean. First one is KBC operation. It means that this row R, it has been created. It has been created at this time. We downloaded from MySQL binary log. This is good for debugging, like everything. This, and this is good for debugging only. What as a data analyst you should be curious about is this KBC deleted. If you will see here a true, it means that the row has been deleted. Because we are not just replicating the data, we are replicating all the queries which happened in source database. So if something is deleted, you need to have a record that it has been deleted. So this is how you will see it. It will, if I will delete the customer, for example, Nathan Reed, if he will be deleted, you will see here true. So now let's go to another table which has been generated, which is called MySQL schema changes. In this table, you will see what happens in source database. So at the beginning, let me sort it out. You can see that someone, it was me, create a table product. Someone create table payments, orders, and so forth. Why this is important? If someone change the column name, which is not a good practice, like always try to do the non-destructive changes, but when someone delete the column, it means dropping the column by altering the table or create a new column, you can see the exact schema shift here. Now, I will go back to my presentation, and as we saw, what kind of data has been downloaded to Keboola, that it was not just database tables itself, but it also contains some metadata, because we are reading logs, like transaction logs, what has been happening on the database. It's a slightly different than typical database connector. How to understand it? If you will use incremental load, which means that here in Keboola, now I'm talking about those 4 options, what they allow you to do. If you will use incremental load, it means that data we stored here in storage will be just expanding with every new load. We know that this table has primary key order ID because it was extracted from the source system. And if new order ID occurs, this table won't have 907 rows, it will have 908 rows. It will be just another record. So it's just extending the table with new records, so new one. If we are talking about primary keys, they are obtained from the source system. But if you will choose the full load, it means that the table with the changes are always truncated, which means that as I will now execute our CDC component once again, it captures only the changes which happened between last and current run. Yeah, so you can append all the changes, or not append. You can incrementally load all the changes. So all of the duplication with incremental keys, primary keys will be done. But with the full load, you are downloading just the changes which happened during the time, which might be really, really useful. Because if you are curious about what changed, this is the way how to do it. What is the duplication in CDC? Let's imagine that someone changed value of order ID 1 to 100. This operation is called update. So this is the reason why we have the U next to in the column operation. Then someone changed the value at order ID 2 to 200. It's also update. But someone decided order ID 1 should be 120. As you can see, now there are multiple operations or ID 1. With the deduplication, what are we going to do is we are only going to take the last value, which means if between the runs, if you done 40 updates, we will be curious only about the last result. If you are doing something like slow changing dimensions, you should be curious about all of them because you want to know that something updated. But if you want to do just database replication, deduplication might come really handy because you can have just the mirror of your source database. Long story short, Vojto, it was too complicated. Give me what I have to set up there. So the easiest way is incremental load with deduplication. If you will choose incremental load with deduplication, it will create a mirror, like just one-to-one copy of your source database with additional columns like KBC __ as I showed you. Only thing you need to do is to remove deleted rows because there is flag. I will show you right away once again that here, if you will have a KBC __ deleted true, and you will make a var filter for your select, that's it. You have replica of your database. On the other hand, if you want to have the fastest way to find out what changed in the source system, use full load with deduplication. It will give you only changes, like the final changes of your data, which has been made during running of your component. I will show you right away, so don't worry if you are a little bit lost. This stores only new records, so it needs some post-processing depending on what you want to do. Let's go back to Keboola. And now what I will do, I will switch to my source database, and which is here. And I will update table customers, and I will set the city to Keboola city. Maybe one day we will be so big enough that we can have our own city. Not the situation yet, but maybe soon. So this query, this is a change what I will make in my database. But before doing so, I also want to do a schema shift. This is something what Keboola was not behaving the best with, but now with CDC, it's much better. So I will alter table customers, and I will add new column, which is called new column, and its default value is 1, 2, 3. So let's run it. Now we made the schema shift, and also I will update the table customers, and we will run the component once again. Let's go back to Keboola. Everything is being done in the source database. And to give you, now I will explain how this magic button works. I will change it to full load deduplicated, which means only things we changed in database since last run will be captured. So we will have totally empty tables. We will just have the customers table with one record. So let's run it. Yeah, the job has been created. This one should be slightly faster. I think also good thing to mention is CDC is suitable for large volume of data because there is some flat cost when the CDC it's being started itself. So if you are thinking about running it for 100 megabyte table or few thousands of rows, maybe it will not give you the best value. But if you have a warehouse where you need to synchronize millions of rows per day, like hundreds of millions per day, as I said, we are around 1 million changes per 1 minute, CDC becomes really, really handy. So it will take some time before I will read a question from Chem. For example, QuickBooks Online has a CDC endpoint that offers what seems to be similar functionality to the binary logs. It won't be as real time, but most of other advantages should still be possible. Yes. Thing is, as we are using the DBZoom underneath, it's crucial that the DBZoom will support this one. We already tried to create our own CDC, and it's a big loaf of bread, to be honest. There is a lot of things you need to take care about, and that's the reason why we switched to DBZoom, because it solves a lot of things, and it had been actively developed by multiple developers. But thanks for questions. I really appreciate it. I will take this to our engineering team, and I will discuss this with them, how it will be possible to incorporate another systems. So it's done. Lovely sound of success job. And if we will go to storage, we will see that, for example, categories is empty because no changes have been done in categories table. And as we choose the full load, not the incremental load, the full load always captures only changes. If we want to keep our old data, we will choose the incremental one. For customers, we will have hopefully one record. Yes, we have it. And as you can see, Mason just moved himself to Keboola City. And we also have the new column, and this column has value 1, 2, 3. There is definitely a question about what if someone drops the column. Keboola will take care of this. And since column has been deleted, we will convert it to nullable. And since that point, all the items in Keboola or in Keboola storage will be just empty. This column, from that point where it was dropped, they will be empty, but nothing will break up. Also here in Schema changes, you can see if we will order it by the TS, we can see that alter table customers at column, new column in default 1, 2, 3 has been executed on the source database. And we also encountered this in the storage in Keboola. Let's go back to presentation. And I think I have one of the last slides, and it's about the pricing. So Keboola has 2 pricing options. I will start with the right side. If you have Keboola already, and you have Keboola database underneath, meaning BigQuery or Snowflake, you will be paying 17 cents per minute. This is the list price. You can contact your AE to get more information about this. On the other hand, if you already have your database under Keboola, you can pay a flat fee, 1,030 per month. 1,300 per month, and you can run your CDC as many times as you want. Compared to other solutions, we found out that this is quite cool price. If you have 2 databases you want to replicate, price for the first one is 1,300, and another one is 700 on top of that. This is applicable for customers with bring your own database, meaning you have your own database under Keboola. If you don't have Keboola and you want to replicate your data from your MySQL, Oracle, Cassandra, Postgre to your database of choice, you will be starting at 1,300 plus Keboola smallest license, which is, I think, 800. So for unlimited CDC replication, we are talking about 2,100 per month. And now there's a place for Q&A.